Can you go a little bit deeper?
Here's the thing about that. Basically, he's on the right train of thought as far as I'm concerned, because what I like the idea of is taking personal power, which means that it's really rough. I mean, rough going. There's no question about it. But basically what you do is you say to yourself at a core level that you face your mortality. I'm a dead bastard. I know I'm a dead bastard. I was a dead bastard the moment I was born, and now I'm getting really close to being a dead bastard, and it does not matter. The powers that be and everybody around us here has sold us on the idea that somehow humans as an individual are unique and precious and valuable, which they are, but the downside of the way they sell it to you is that they want you to be afraid of change and altering the nature of who you are, including death. Once you get over their whole thing on fear, then you can start building yourself up as this reasonably powerful individual capable of altering the whole planet. And it takes a while, but that is that essential start. And I got my start in all of this by reading Buckminster Fuller and the trials and tribulations that he went through and some of the conclusions that he came to. And then I started getting really serious about it because I started noticing things like, chemtrails and all the other weird stuff that just did not make sense. And I figured, well, if these are lying bastards, then all the rules are off, and therefore I needed to figure out how I was going to conduct myself in a ruleless, lawless environment, which is what it really is. And once you recognize that, it's like, oh, hey, this is not the United States of America in the 21st century. This is 5th century China, and I've got to go from the Shaolin monastery up here to that farm over there to get some food and keep myself safe from all these brigands and warlords along the way.
Yes. I mean, at some point, people have to take a personal responsibility for what is occurring. Too many people want to ask why, who, all these things. I mean, you try to point out the powers that be, who are they, right, and all this stuff. Yeah. And what it boils down to is people really need to take a personal responsibility for the slave master system, in the sense that, slaves, in very many aspects, they choose to be a slave. And really, it's just, like you said many, many times, Cliff, we love you definitely on the forum, been following you for a long time. And one of the things that I specifically love is your, the push to think for yourself and to really just push that idea out. And I think that that's really the answer.
I think so too, but it comes from being a lazy fellow. I just don't, I don't like the idea of followers because they're a pain in the butt. You got to drag them along with you. So it's like, and besides which, I don't know that I'm going in the right direction. It'd be great for me to follow somebody, so let's all scatter out and see what we got. But yeah, we got to take that personal responsibility.
Yep, I agree. Well, thank you very much for your time, especially tonight. Thank you for the extended time, and you guys carry on. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Final caller, 610, you're on the air.
Come on, 610, come on.
Caller, are you there? Caller from New York?
Okay, I don't think he's there.
Okay. All right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the final wrap-up, and we'll see you on the other side, ladies and gentlemen. TruthFrequencyRadio.com, of course, our great guests website, Clif High, halfpasthuman.com, and I guess I have to run the breaks now, so let's find an appropriate clip. I think this is a good one right here.
The soul has no limitation.
We were in the center of the Amazon basin. We had come there to explore tryptamine hallucinogens. These are short-acting, very powerful psychedelic drugs. And the reason we were so interested in these drugs is because in encounters with it in the pure was invariably characterized by encounters with elves, thousands of these things. When you smoke DMT, for example, at a sufficiently high and prepared dose, you get elves. Everybody does. You may not believe it, but on the other hand, it only takes 5 minutes to prove that I'm bullshitting you 100%. Surely anyone who's studied UFOs and alien intelligence for as many years as the people represented here have can afford to invest 10 minutes in the wild-eyed assertion that all you need do is inhale deeply 3 times, and you want contact, you want elves, you want alien intelligence, you'll have it up the kazoo. Now, of course, it comes from an unsanctioned dimension. And so, all night long, I sat reviewing the things that had passed, seeming to divide my consciousness and send it both backward through my family tree and forward into the future. I seemed to see all the years still ahead. I saw some technique emerging from this contact, our careers pursued across time and space, and finally vindication as the world realized the truth of the transdimensional nature of the Stropharia visions and the true nearness of the worlds that they had thrown open. For it had become my belief that the contact with an intelligent and utterly alien species was beginning for humanity. It seemed that out of the long night of cosmic time, the novelty of novelties, the moment of contact between minds on utterly different planes was beginning. We were among the first to achieve contact with this other. It was the real thing. We had come to the equatorial jungle to explore the dimensions glimpsed in tryptamine ecstasy. And there, in the darkness of the heart of the Amazon, we had been found and touched by this bizarre and ancient life form that was now awakening to the global potential of a symbiotic relationship with technical humanity. All night long, strange vistas and insights poured through me. I saw gigantic machineries and worlds of vegetable and mechanical forms on scales inconceivably vast. Time, agatized and glittering, seemed to pour by me like living superfluids, inhabiting dream regions of terrible pressure and super cold. And I saw the plan, the mighty plan, at last. It was an ecstasy, an ecstasis that lasted hours and placed the seal of completion on all of my previous life. At the end, I felt reborn, but as what, I knew not, that will sweep away the petty concerns of earth and history-bound humanity.
And welcome back to Truth Frequency Overtime here on Oracle Broadcasting. Once again, thank you very much, Oracle, for the extended time, especially commercial-free, for picking up the bill. That was very gracious of you, but for a gracious guest like Clif High, that's what we have to do because this information is just incredible. Clif, are you back with us?
Sure.
Okay, great. I figured you went to go make some coffee or, something like that.
No, too late for that now.
Okay.
I'm an old man. I don't want to be still awake in 4 hours.
I completely understand.
I just did a little bit of centering here. I'm good.
Okay, very good, very good. You mentioned earlier that we have to stop seeing things in the seeing perspective, and there you go, I just did it again, because it brings us back to that 5 sense reality. Now, I can tell you through my use of ayahuasca, one of the things that they told me was you need to start seeing with your third eye. Stop looking with these 2 eyes. Start looking with this one. Does that relate to what you were saying earlier?
It makes a lot of sense, yeah, because the whole pineal gland thing, if you want to examine the pineal gland, which is the source of the third eye, it is the weirdest little part of our human body that nobody can really understand as to why it should be there until you start getting into entheogens. And here's the deal. how do I want to say this? The pineal gland forms as you're forming in the womb, and it actually comes from your palate.
49 days.
And it's from the upper part of your palate. Yet, when it is mature, it resembles for all the world your eyeball. And it is inconceivable that this eyeball should in any way ever get any light into it because it's in the middle of your brain, basically. Inside your skull, there's no outlet to light. But if you do the meditation and you learn to open it, you can get it to flood with light, and then you can control and play with that light in the meditative process, and you can explore stuff. Now, there's a couple of different ways of getting at this pineal gland, one of which is the sure and certain way of dealing with the tryptamine compounds.
Yes, I've noticed that the tryptamines have really opened that up, and it seems like a constant struggle between what the powers that be, let me just call them the powers that be,
sure,
and what we're trying to do. They're constantly trying to calcify the pineal gland while we're trying to awaken it. I mean, you can look at fluoride.
That's true. I'm not disputing that. I was just thinking, though, that there is this weird little offshoot about all of this that periodically keeps coming up where psychedelic drugs keep being reintroduced to the society by a subset of the minions that work for the powers that be. Now, maybe they're sabotaging everything, right? Maybe they know the Illuminati are a bunch of nasty guys we don't want to deal with, and this is their method for throwing a wooden shoe into the works and causing it all to be a little bit upset. But there's games within games within games. So I have a tendency as a linguist here to be very precise about the thinking, and I don't like overly broad statements. But in general, it is true, I think, that the powers that be wish that they could get into a situation where most of humanity had calcified pineal glands and we were good little drones.
Yes. Cherie, did you have a comment? Because I see your finger on the button.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, yeah, with Timothy Leary and the whole LSD thing, that was a complete CIA operation. But if you look at people like Terence McKenna, for example, he seemed to have nothing but the best of intentions. But, I mean, I guess the road to hell is paved with that, so...
Well, the way I see it...
No. Getting back to the Libya thing, it's the same kind of a deal. Even if Terence McKenna had in no way been involved with CIA, and there's no reason to suspect he was, or any of that, they could still use him because they found him convenient, and they are very... all of these nasty guys are diligent about looking for opportunities to exploit existing energetic trends within the mass of humanity. Bear in mind, they see the world as energy, and so they can see certain energetic trends building, and they will attempt to harmonize with them and push them a little bit to see if they can't get them to come out more favorable to them. So in that sense, Timothy Leary was undoubtedly a CIA asset and may have been totally oblivious to the idea he was a CIA asset and was really good as a CIA asset without even ever thinking that he was one.
The way I see it, we have a deep-seated need for shamanism, and it hits us when we're about 13, 14, 15 years old, when most people start to experiment with altering their consciousness. I mean, you can even go back further as a child, spinning around because people you just have this natural seated need to expand the consciousness or alter the consciousness. And I think what they've done is they've introduced these bastardized drugs, LSD, ecstasy, things like that, to kind of fulfill that need without giving you the spiritual enlightenment. Does that statement make any sense?
Yes, it does, and it's true to a very great degree. They're engineering indeed in the hallucinogens. There's issues about LSD specifically that we need to sort of leave it out of the discussion, right? Because it's not, strictly speaking, even though it's the basis for ecstasy and it is a mechanistic hallucination,